In this video, we'll dive straight into the tactics, tools, and techniques you need to perform SEAD in the F-16, one of the most versatile platforms for suppression of enemy air defenses in DCS World. I'll break down the exact loadouts I use, how I target SAMs, and the methods I employed to stay alive while striking back at the enemy. Let's go get it. Loadout and setups. Your loadout depends on what kind of SAM system you're going up against. For light to mid-level SAM threats, like an SA2 or an SA6, this is what I typically fly with. 2 AGM-88s, 2 wing bags, the harm targeting system pod on the left cheek station, targeting pod, the ALQ-184 long ECM pod. I usually bring some A120s for defense. Now for high threat SAM systems like the SA-11 or SA-10s, it depends on the situation. If I've got a whole strike package working with me, I might still bring harms and engage from range. But when I'm solo or operating without much support, I take a different route. All the stations stay the same except for the 2 harm stations. I'll take 1 harm, then on the left side, I'll match it with ×2 CBU 103 canisters. That way, I can come in low level, shoot off a harm, close range, and if that doesn't work, hopefully I'll get close enough to be able to drop a couple can of CBUs on the target. Countermeasures.
Flare.
Before you even think about launching a harm or diving in with cluster munitions, your survivability starts with how you set up your countermeasures. Since the new update with the data transfer cartridge, I've created and I will be testing out and running 6 custom commands programs tailored to different threats and engagement scenarios. These are built for flexibility, whether I'm cruising low through enemy territory or defending against a radar-guided missile. Program 1 is a default defense balance program. This is my go-to during general ingress and egress. It's light on countermeasures, 1 chaff, 1 flare spaced out, just enough to keep basic threats at bay without burning through my stock. Program 2 is an IR defense for manpads, or something similar. I use this one when flying low or during pop-up attacks in manpad country. It's flare focused, perfect for SA-18 style threats. Program 3, radar SAMs like the SA-2 or 3. This one's dedicated to old school, long range radar SAMs, pure chaff. I try to fly it with break turns or notch maneuvers. This is not a panic dump, it's a controlled time counter to match the missile's threat. Program 4 is a medium SAM for like that. Program 4 is a medium SAM program for SA6s or 11s, slightly heavier, spaced tighter. If you would like to try out these programs that I've created using the new data cartridge feature, I will put a link in the description. You can either use them or you can use them as a baseline for creating your own countermeasure programs. On screen is a snippet from the F-16's flight manual with the explanation showing the countermeasures forward, aft, left, and right, and what they do. After downloading, to import the DTC, the data cartridge profile, go into the mission editor, click edit, click on DTC manager, then you click file, new, you select the aircraft type. Currently there is only the F-18 and F-16. Name it whatever you want. We'll call this one 2. Then you go to file, import, then you navigate to where you downloaded it. Once you're at the download file location for the DTC profile, click it, click OK, and it should import the entire program for you. You do have a lot of flexibility when creating programs for your countermeasures with the data transfer cartridge. Right here, you have 6 manual, 3 auto, and a bypass for the F-16. You can also come up here to the DTC partition, select that. You can also create channels for all the frequencies that you normally use for COM1 and COM2, but that's a different video. Quick rundown inside the data transfer cartridge. There's going to be a burst quantity. That's how many chaffs or how many flares. These other 1 and 2s are, as far as I understand, they're not implemented. Burst quantity is, in this case, 1 chaff, 1 flare, burst interval. It's going to take 0.3 seconds for both of them to come out. Salvo quantity 6. So there's 1, 6. So 1 times 6, there's going to be 6 of them coming out. If you have 6 of them coming out with a quantity salvo of 6, you're going to have 36 of them come out. Salvo interval, how many seconds in between salvos? So there's 6 salvos. There's going to be 1 second in between each salvo. Down here, you can also set your bingo settings for chaff and flares. Right now, it's set at 10 for me. I think that is the default setting. So when you get to 10 chaff or 10 flare, your aircraft will say low. I have not messed with these, but this is a pretty cool feature as well. You can set to, let's say an F-16 locks onto you, you can tell it which program that you want it to run, which automatic program to run when you are being tracked by an F-16 in this case. Once you have all the settings to where you want them, you just come up here to File and Save. And that's your new program. To load these into the aircraft to use, there's a couple ways to do it. One, if you're creating the mission, what you could do is you place down your F-16, come over here to skill. You can only use the data transfer cartridge and assign it to an aircraft in either client or player positions. You click on either client or player, you come over here to the DTC option, and then you select which DTC program that you would like. So currently we have DTC2, click it, add it, and that is currently in the aircraft. Note that you can load multiple into the same aircraft under the list DTC, but only one program can be active at a time. If you have a data transfer cartridge program number 4, unselect this and then select the next program that you want to use. Or if you want to just load the default data transfer cartridge upon the start of the mission, you can check this box. The other way to load in a data transfer cartridge profile is to go in this case it's a client and not a player, so I will select the current aircraft that I put in, and then right here before you click fly is open DTC. Once that's open, you can go ahead and load your profiles and select them from there. To load the data transfer cartridge into the F-16, whether it be an air start or a hot start, first you're going to click on one of the OSBs. Here I'm using the target pod, select DTE. At the top middle, select load. It'll load the MPD right there, and then it'll load comms right there. Alright folks, right here, we're coming up against SA6. I'm not getting spiked right now. First thing I'm going to do when I'm heading into an area where I'm going to fight SAMs is if you have it equipped, I'm going to set up the ECM pod. So first thing you do is you come down here to your ECM panel right there. I'm going to flip on all those switches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the sixth one right there. I'm going to get all those switches flipped on. Now, make sure this switch is in operate. It will be for an air start, but if you're on a ground start, it will not be. This switch here, there's 3 positions, 1, 2, and 3. The third position, where it's set now, that is a continuous jamming mode, and you have to be in your mode switch on your CMDS panel. Your mode switch has to be in manual for that one to work. It just broadcasts the jamming signal to the whole entire area. Only problem with that is if you're continuously jamming, it might make it a lot easier for enemy aircraft or air defenses to detect your aircraft approaching their area, so they'll start really looking for you. Sometimes I'll use that continuous jamming, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use one of the other 2 modes. First mode and the second mode. The first mode, what it'll do is once it's activated, it's not continuously jamming. It will start jamming once an enemy radar or any type of radar signature is trying to lock onto your aircraft, and it'll try to make it so they can't lock you. It'll feed from what I understand, it'll feed the radar that's trying to target you bad ranging information, and they can't get a lock on you. So I'm going to go up to number 1. All right, so once you have that into number 1, your mode here has to be in one of the, has to be either semi or an auto mode for that to work. So what you're going to do after you put it into semi mode, and you have that switch in number 1, right now it's showing an S, which means standby. You're going to CMS aft on your HOTAS, chaff, flare, and it's going to go into automatic mode. You just heard chaff and flare launch. CMS aft also releases program number 6. I'm going to kind of turn away from that SA6. I'm going to get my harm set up. I'm going to power on the CBUs in case I need them, and there's the AGM-88 harm. Over here is my weapons page. I already put that up. But what you do is you just click on whatever page, do another click, and then select weapon. And right now it's showing it on, there's a couple different modes here with this. Harm as sensor has, or POS, which is a position. And what that does is if you're going to launch on the actual steer point, if the steer point is on top of or near the radar site, the SAM site that you want, you can launch it in position mode. There are a few different selections that you can select here. EDM, RUK, which is range unknown, and PB is pre-briefed. Up on the screen is going to be different use cases for those, if you want to pause and take a look at those. So right now it's showing an SA-10 on my table. I do have a steer point at 1, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the table and find the SAM site in the radar system that I'm looking for. See, right here's a 6. I'm going to select an SA6. Now it's boxed over an SA6 with a 1 underneath it, and that indicates that it's steer point 1. Alright, got the SAM site to my rear. I'll go ahead and turn in and get ready to engage the SAM site. Alright, I'm lining up with my azimuth steering line directly in, it's that vertical line in the center of the HUD. And that vertical line, the ASL, is lining me up with the steer point or speed that is currently active. Now this box right here is a field of view box. It is, once that box is flashing, you are cleared to launch. On the ASL, there are 2 lines you can see, one horizontal short, one horizontal long. That's going to be your loft indicator. See, now that it's flashing right here, the field of view panel is flashing, the weapon release button is hot, and I can release. To make sure that your harm is going to hit the target, you kind of want to be high in the air and going pretty quick. Right now I'm going at full mil at Mach 0.82 at Angels 26. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just let it come in just a tad to make sure there's enough loft distance on that missile. And also what you could do is you can also, I just went into Afterburner. You can get up to or close to Mach 1 depending on your loadout. You might not be able to get over Mach if you got a bunch of draggy bombs on you up at this altitude. But I'm going to get up there. I'm in a slight climb, which is fine because I'm going to loft this. Right now I'm showing 36.5 miles to the target. There's Mach 1. You don't have to go Mach 1, but it's just an option that I like to use to make sure that you get the distance on your harm and that it don't fall short. All right, I'm going to pull up to where the steering cue in the center of my HUD is in between those 2 loft lines, and then I'm going to fire Magnum SA6. Now at this point, a lot of people might want to just turn out and get the heck out of there. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to stay within its radar range. Once that missile is able to track the radar signature, it will hone in on that radar. So I want that radar to stay up. If that radar goes down because I turned out, the harm might not track and it might not hit. Basically, I'm just hanging out here, making sure that SA6 stays online. I'm only 25 miles, so while you got that radar on, the best time to fire is when they are shooting at you. You just defend against the missile, and then that missile, that almost guarantees that the target's radar will stay up if it's tracking a missile at you. That way you can almost guarantee a hit. But I'm still close enough that it's tracking, and oh, there we go. Might have gotten the hit because the SA6 just disappeared. Alright, right now we got a big bird radar. We got an SA-10 sight that's up a little bit past that SA6. I do not have a steer point on that SAM site. So how am I going to get my sensors over there and hit what I want to hit on that SA-10? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the weapons page from pre-briefed back to EOM right there. And then I'm going to select the table with the SA-10 on it. There's a big bird and a clamshell and a 10. If you look at the harm targeting sensor over here in the HAD page, you see, make sure it's soy, you see the clamshell and you see the big bird radar. Those two, from what I understand, are search radars. And what we want to do is take out the tracking radar at the SA-10 site. So you don't want to select the big bird or the clamshell. You want to select the 10 on your HAD page here. So what I'm going to do, now that that's ready to go, I'm going to need to create a steer point over by where that SAM site is. So I'm going to go over here to the HAD page. I'm going to use my radar cursor and go over either the clamshell or the big bird. Right now I'm at a PGM5. If you look right here, it says PGM5 right there on that top right OSB select. Underneath it, it's a PGM5. That number is going to correspond with the accuracy of where the systems think that radar is. So what you want to do is you don't want to fly directly at it. One, you'll start getting too dang close and it'll shoot you. And two, you want the pod to be able to triangulate where that's at. I don't know if it matters or not, but the pod is on the left cheek station, so I'm going to keep those radars on the left side of my aircraft where that pod is. I don't know if that makes a difference, but that's what I'm going to do. And right now, I'm just waiting for the solutions to come down to a PGM2. That's what you're looking for. A PGM2 is the greatest accuracy with the harm targeting system as to triangulating where that radar system is. While you have a radar selected on the harm targeting system, so right now I got that radar selected, and you just seen it move, is because it's getting a better position on where the radar's at. While you have one selected and that page is soy, you can target management switch left short, TMS left short. And once you do that, if you look at your DED page, it's going to automatically bring up the SEAD page. TMS aft and unlock that, it's going to automatically switch your DED page back to the main page. But I'm going to go ahead and keep that locked up. TMS left. What that's going to do is give you the current lat and long for it. Again, until you get a PMG2, that's going to change. So wait, once you get a PMG2, you can tell your wingman, hey, here's the lat long, the elevation, and then it's giving you a time on target. It's just a nice little reference, visual reference. Okay, so I'm at a PGM2 right now, so that's exactly where that SAM site is. I'm going to switch over here. I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to switch over here to my other MFD, and I'm going to get my targeting pod up. With this selected, that creates a SPI. When you have something selected on your HAD page with the harm targeting system, it's going to create a SPI. So you can use that to slave and find out where that target is. See, it slaves my targeting pod to where that location is. What I want to do is I want to find this radar system. Alright, let's see here. Is that the system right there? Yep, I do see it. Yep, that's the radar. Alright, right there is going to be the clamshell. It's the taller radar system. I want the tracking radar right there. The big bird is around here somewhere as well, but it's kind of a small vehicle. So I'm going to use my targeting pod to create a steer point right on where that radar is. So I'm going to TMS forward. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit return. I'm going to go to a mark point. Make sure targeting pod is on here. If it's not, hit your sequence button and sequence through all the mark points. Fire control radar, overfly, HUD, and you want it to say T-pod. With your targeting pod soy, We've already got it boxed right there. If it's not boxed, go ahead and TMS forward and box it. And once it's boxed, if you TMS forward again, it's going to... Oh, there we go. The SA-10 is going to try to look at us. Let's turn out just a little bit while we're still getting set up. So you just created a steer point right where that tracking radar is. So now what we're going to do is, we don't want to launch from this distance. We don't want to... Would you stop? All right, let's get away from the radar. I'm diving down to get low. You don't want to get really close to this guy. See, look, I'm like 32 miles from him, and he's already trying to lock me up and gonna try to shoot at me here pretty soon. So right now, this isn't a good spot to be in with this SA-10. They're really nasty, and I don't have any hills around here. This is flat terrain where I'm at. So I'm gonna get low while I'm finishing getting set up. Right now I'm heading away from the radar at 36 miles, and I'm at 160 feet. All right, so now that I got that steer point right on there, you don't want to launch from at altitude because it's gonna come at you. It's gonna be bad. So we're gonna do the exact same launch that we did against that SA-6, but we're gonna do it from the deck. We're gonna be really low, coming in fast, and then once we get within a certain range of that SA-10, I'm gonna launch within 10 miles of that SA-10, and I'm gonna launch the other harm. The problem with the SA-10 is it will defend itself against missiles and bombs, that kind of, maybe not, but it'll defend itself against missiles and stuff. So if I launch a harm at it from this distance, it's just gonna shoot it out of the sky and it's not gonna hit. So what I'm gonna do is, I got that all set up. I'm gonna switch this back to the weapons page. Make sure again you have the SA-10 selected. Okay, I'm going to go from steer point 1 to that targeting point that I made, steer point 26, and to confirm it, look at your weapons page. We have a 10. The 10's boxed. It's 2.6 right below the 10. That means it's going to launch at steer point 26. We are in position and EOM mode. We are all ready. All right, for this run at the SAM, I'm going to do continuous jamming. So, see, there they are. Manual. Position 3 and transmitting. So it will go straight to transmitting. There's a T right there. And your ECM light will be on. Currently 28 miles. I'm going to stay as low as I absolutely can. I'm within launch range, but I'm still 26 miles. It'll definitely shoot down my harm if I launch from this distance. So I need to stay low and hold off on my shot until I'm just about at minimum range for my harm, and then I will loft it just a tad. Big old line of trees right there. That was not welcome. Nope, don't get too high. Come back down, come back down. 19.5 miles, staying low, staying on the ground. So even with the jamming going right now, even with the jamming pod, there is a thing called Burnthrough, where I'm close enough to the radar system that it's overpowering, the signal's overpowering what my jamming pod, my ECM pod can do. And they'll just burn through the jamming and they'll be able to lock me up no problem. So that's something to be aware of. The closer you get to the system, the higher likelihood of your ECM not working. All right, I'm 13 miles. I'm still pretty low. I don't like these lines of trees I keep crossing through. 12 miles. And then I have the CBUs on, so if I do end up being able to get close enough to the SAM, I could just drop the CBUs on it from within the SAM's minimum distance to be able to fire at me. It won't be able to shoot at me because I'll be too close. Ooh, that was close. All right, I'm 8 miles. I'm gonna pop up, give it one, come back down. Get over here, select my CBU 103s, make sure I'm staying down low.
Pull up.
Once I'm within the minimum SAM engagement range, I'll pop up. All right, I'm gonna pop up. My harm missed. I popped up way too close. But as you can see, I'm within the minimum SAM engagement range, so they can't hit me from here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a quick little gun run on that on that radar, that tracking radar, so it can't shoot me. And then I can set up for a better CBU run because I was too close. I should have popped up a little bit further. Make sure you stay close to the SAM, because if you get within firing range of these guys, they'll mess. He can mess you up. All right, let's get that pipper.
Pull up.
On the radars.
Pull up. Pull up.
Which ones did I get? All right, I got one of the. I got the clamshell. Now I got to get the flap lid. I don't think I hit that. It does look a little bent, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna come back around and hit that guy real quick. And you have a lot of problems too. If there's man pads at this location, you're in trouble because you are low. Don't normally get to be able to hit guns on these guys.
Pull up.
Alright, yeah, I did destroy it. So I did hit the tracking radar with my first pass. Alright, let's get the 103s on. That tracking radar is down, so they're not going to be able to track me. So you can kind of get some altitude, get some distance, and then come back in and mop it up with your CBUs. Make sure everything's on and ready. CBU 103s. Now with the CBUs, your burst altitude, it's important. If you drop them below your burst altitude, they are just going to go stupid and not open up. So right now it's set at 1,500 feet, so you have to drop them from above 1,500 feet. And then your spin rate, how fast the canister spins to release them. The faster the spin, the wider the dispersal on the small bomblets are. So you do start at 1,500 increments. So 500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and that's also will be your bomb density on the ground. So like, if there is a bunch of hard targets, you want a higher density, so you want a smaller spin rate. But these are all soft targets. It should be able to take out the missiles, no problem. So as you can see, I took out those radars. That just made me nervous. So I'm coming in for my CBU attack. Just about at the range. Just about there. It's coming in, holding the pickle. Times 2 away. Let's get away from these bomblets because we are low. They should be getting here soon. Those CBUs are the 103s. The 105s and the 97s, you can't set spin rates on them. All right. Not really sure that was very effective, but the SA-10 sight is down, and our guys are free to move in. Remember, no aircraft were harmed in the making of this video, except for all of them. And we'll see you in the next sortie.